The Amavasya has some significance. It's when, let's say from an objective point of view, the moon is there, but its influence is not apparent. It's in a somewhat suppressed, almost like hidden position. And that's similar to the position of Gadadhar Pandit. We sing his name every day in Panchatattva mantra, and also in the Panchatattva-atmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Srupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam. The Shakti to feminine, to Krishna's Shaktiman aspect. Sometimes Guru Maharaj will say that the Nam Sankirtan aspect begins Nimai Pandit Vishnu Priya, but the Madhura Rasa pastimes, of extension of Madhura Rasa, there are Charja Lila, as with the Madhura Rasa beginning with Nimai Pandit and Vishnu Priya, but culminating in the Acharya Lila of Gaur Gadadhar. There's a mysterious statement in the Chaitanya Charitamritam where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compares Gadadhar Pandit to Rukmini as the principal Dwaraka queen. We understand from our acharyas that in Vrindavan, the highest place, Srimati Radharani is holding the highest position, the preeminent position, and all of these divine extensions come from her. Even her main competition, Chandravali, like the ultimate business strategy is that you create your own competition. So you have what you're marketing, but you also market the competition. That way you have the whole market. Actually, Radharani, she has the whole market on Krishna consciousness and service to Krishna. So she expands in different ways. But we would think, or you might think from a logical point of view, if she's prominent, preeminent in Vrindavan, then when she expands outward into Dwaraka, then she'll be the principal queen. But it's not expressed in that way, due to the difference in the nature of Vrindavan and Dwaraka. What's predominating in Dwaraka is heart, whereas, these are Guru Maharaj's words, Dwaraka predominated by intellect. So actually, Radharani and Chandravali, when they expand out of Vrindavan into Dwaraka, a reversal takes place. So Chandravali gets the principal position in Dwaraka as Rukmini, and Radharani is apparently in a secondary position as the queen Satyabhama, who's by inference this Bhamabhav, or contrary nature. She's not always agreeable in the or submissive, you can say. So she has this Bhamabhav nature to express some kind of sweet opposition. Right? So there, the reversal of heart and intellect. So she's in a secondary position. So then why would Gadadhar be compared to Rukmini? Guru Maharaj answers this because we understand in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamritam, the internal cause and aspect of Krishna's descending as Mahaprabhu is being revealed. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami likes to refer to the notes of Swarup Damodar, as we were discussing last night, but also, whenever possible, is referencing what's been expressed by Rupa Goswami, who's, Sancharja, was infused by Mahaprabhu, conceptually the leader of his line, the Rupa Nuga Sampradaya. And Rupa Goswami expresses in his Chaitanyastakam, it's quoted in a few times, but particularly in the 4th chapter of Adi Leela, Aparam Kasyapi Prani Janavrindasya Kutuki Rasotstamam Hritva Maduram Upabhoktam Kamapiya Rucham Swam Abhavre Dutim Iha Tadyan Sad Chaitanya Devaskritir Atitaram Na Kripayatu. This is that Krishna, being surrounded by the multitude of Braja Gopis, particularly the Rasa Leela. There are varying descriptions in the Puranas of how many are in attendance at that time. Sometimes it says, billions. And must be, because Krishna's pastimes are infinite. And if we factor in how can so many qualified personalities participate, as rare as it is, still there must be a large level of qualified participants. So in some places it says 1 billion. And that's just, Hare Krishna, a reference point. Down. He's getting too excited with all the association, the Bhakta Vrinda. He can understand this is an important day. So anyway, Krishna, there's, as Guru Maharaj told in the famous sloka, the Sriman Rasa Rasarangbi Bangshi Bhatta Tatastita Karshan Venu Swanai Gopi Gopinatha Sriyestuna, that, and I only say this because he's said it. He said, it's all the groups. That's why he says Govinda, sloka in the middle, and his deities, Govinda Sundar, Radha, Gandharva Govinda Sundar, means with a select group pastimes. But this open, where all the groups are participating, is in the billions. And it adds to the significance that Krishna surveying all of them. And this doesn't mean just, seeing, a visual field with your eyes. Like we know, see Satya Sundar Prabhu, we think of depth of field. And we hear in photography, infinite depth of field. It sounds like such a wonderful idea, actually. Infinite depth of field where everything is in focus. But here, when we speak of infinite depth of field of Krishna's vision, these are the pastimes of the infinite. So only the most super qualified, super servitors are participating in these pastimes. Ananda Chinmaya Pratibha Vitabis Tabirja Eva Nijarupataya Kalavi Goloka eva sat nikilat mabuto govinda mari purusham tambaham bhajamin. So Krishna, whose Akila Rasamrita Murti, is reciprocating with everyone, saying, surveying that field, the sort of devotion that is present in one captures his attention. Right? Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidusho Vanayeva. And this awakens in him the tendency to want to experience what she is experiencing. Right? To what degree is he enamored or captured by her, that when she leaves, he abandons everyone. Tatyaja Braja Sundari. Radha Madaya Hridaya Tatyaja Braja Sundari. He's willing to leave all of them for one. So it points to some unique qualifications in terms of beauty, dedicating tendency, sweetness of heart, everything. Right? So, and to what degree is his curiosity aroused? Srila Guru Maharaj, he says that Krishna has looted the sentiments of Srimati Radharani. Even if you look in the English dictionary under loot, it will say from the Sanskrit loot, lunti, which means to rob. So when I heard Srila Guru Maharaj say this, he would always say, Krishna has stolen the heart of Srimati Radharani. And on account of its presence, the halo is manifesting outward, converting Shyama Sundar Krishna into Gauranga Sundar. But I thought, is this Guru Maharaj's interpretation? Did he select these words to represent these concepts? Which would have been enough for me, but just interested. But then we see in Rupa Goswami, Ritva Madhuram Upabhoktam Kamapiya, that Krishna looted or stole this from her. And that's why in Srila Guru Maharaj's song, the Saraswat Arati, mentions Radha Rasa Trayoshada, and ends in Mandahasa, saying she's showing this little smile because she knows what he's experiencing is her. It's even in the world, there are things that are embarrassing, right? What's the other word that the companies embarrass?
Shame.
No, but in a sweeter way. Shyness, and that she's understanding most clearly what it is. This is inconceivable. These are the pastimes of divinity. The people think of science and physics and all these things when they're trying to think about the ultimate reality. With all due respect, it's a million light years away conceptually from these type of divine pastimes, right? Which was actually the pastimes of reality, the beautiful. So how sweet is that Krishna is overwhelmed to the degree that he loots the sentiments of Srimati Radharani. And then Guru Maharaj will say in various ways that what remains, sometimes he says carcass, or a beggar whose wealth has been plundered, a facsimile, the remainder. So now Krishna, who's Purnam, who's complete and full, has achieved some extraordinary position Guru Maharaj in the beginning of Prapana Jivanamritam acknowledges this in the sloka. Guru Rupa Harim Gauram Radha Ruchi Ruchavratam Nityam Nomi Namadipe Nama Kirtana Nartanai. That the Guru Rup of Krishna, when Krishna wants to teach devotion to Krishna, the Guru Rupa of Hari is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So, and elsewhere mentioned by Rupa Goswami, Sada Pasya Srimandrita Manujakai Pranayitam Bahadbi Girvane Girisha Parameshti Prabhritibhi Shabbhaktebhya Sudham Nijabhajana Mudramupadisham Satchetanna Kame Punar Abhidashor Yashati Padam. So he's descended with his associates to personally teach devotion. But in the sense, who is his tutor? That means Srimati Radharani, who descends in these pastimes as Gadadhar Pandit. And in the early parts of the pastime in Navadip, Gadadhar Pandit is a very meek, shy, humble, beautiful boy, is very devoted. And Nimai Pandit in those pastimes is arrogant and not acting so humble and shy. And one of his favorite targets for mischief or to humiliate is Gadadhar Pandit. So if Nimai Pandit is walking in the street and Gadadhar Pandit is coming in the street, Nimai Pandit, of course, wants to meet with Gadadhar Pandit and tease Gadadhar. And Gadadhar Pandit, knowing this, will sort of walk on the other side of the street, hoping not to be seen. I mean, this is a pastime of theirs. Not to be seen by Nimai Pandit, lest this teasing, this merciless teasing will be there. To what effect that Nimai, he's a Pandit, they're both Pandit, described as Pandit, but Nimai Pandit will take some position, ask Gadadhar some mind-bending question, get an answer, disprove that answer, then take the opposite side, disprove the other side, and to the state of utter bewilderment and astonishment. That's his fun. But it's mentioned at some point in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that Gadadhar Pandit saying, Nimai Pandit is so beautiful and charming a personality and qualified in every way. If he was only a devotee of Krishna, that's the one element that's missing. If he was a devotee of Krishna, he'd be perfect. And once Gadadhar Pandit asked Nimai Pandit to do the Seva Puja for his deities, Nimai Pandit bathed and dressed very nicely, tilak, came before the deity, and then Ganga streams of tears are shooting from his eyes and washing away the tilak, drenching his clothes, and then he thought, I have to bathe again, put on fresh clothes, tilak, and the same thing's happening. And he told Gadadhar Pandit, I'm not so fortunate, I can't worship Krishna. Right? But where is Krishna, Gadadhar? Where can I find Krishna, the Lord of my heart? And Gadadhar is saying, in your heart. Krishna's in your heart. And Mahaprabhu, he starts tearing his chest. And Gadadhar Pandit said, no, not like that. Don't. In another way you have to make your approach. Yeah, right. And he's so intense. I thought, what is this body? As we later tells Sanatan, Deho Tyage, Krishna Nahi. By giving up the body, you can't get Krishna in that way. That's not the idea of the higher devotees. And I think Sripad Tyagaraja published a nice article Gaudiya Darshan of Guru Maharaj, telling along these lines and mentioning personalities in India who are willing to give up their bodies, how Socrates, Jesus, but to give up the wealth of one's heart, that is another thing. And that, it's inconceivable. And perhaps that is why the word hritva, robbed, looting, is used. Because all the wealth that we have of the Krishna consciousness movement, and by this sort of analysis we can understand, is an extension of the heart of Srimati Radharani. When we told the other day, faith, the halo of Radharani, also Bhargo, Bhai, Vrishabhanu, Jatma, Bhivavai, Karadhana, Sri Puram. The whole spiritual world is illumined on the outward radiance of what is within the heart of Srimati Radharani. That song Gurudev would sing that made Guru Maharaj so happy, Tungamani Mandire, when I asked Gurudev, what does it mean? He said that Srimati Radharani's heart is like a jeweled lighthouse of Krishna Prem, which is inconceivable. But then who is Gadadhar? Absent that what's been plundered by Krishna, which is now the wealth of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, described as, what does it say? Gora, Prema, Gaur Prema Moy Tanu, Pandit Gadadhar. That no one has greater love for Mahaprabhu than Gadadhar Pandit. That must be, that cannot be questioned. It is not in any way to diminish the love of Nityananda Prabhu, right, who's his Mahaprabhu's favorite, his other self, Nityananda, who considers himself Chaitanya Das, a servitor. Ekala Ishwara Krishna Arsa Britya, he's a servitor of Mahaprabhu. Advaita Daita, the dear Advaita. Guru Maharaj says when Mahaprabhu asks someone, what do you think about the love and affection Advaita Acharya has for me? How would you describe that? And someone said, oh, like Sukadev or Prahlad. He said, Mahaprabhu became enraged. What? My Nara, my dear Advaita, Prahlad and Sukadev, they're boys. They're just kids compared to Advaita Acharya. He can say that. Right? We're praying for Prahlad's mercy as Nrsingadev's appearance is approaching, and pray that no offense on our part in expressing these things. But so dear Prapana Srivas, Swarupam Bibranam, Jagataturyam Advaita Dvaita, Prapana Srivasa Paramananda Gaurima, Harir Dinodari, Gajapati Kripo Tsekatara, Sat Chaitanya Kame Punar Abhidashor Yashati Vedam. But the connection of Gaur and Gadadhar is unparalleled. And as Guru Maharaj told, this is their Acharya Lila. When Vrindavan, they're relishing sweetness, and they take the position of Gaur and Gadadhar, they're distributing that sweetness. They're in distribution mode. That is why, one of the reasons why we reject our Guru Varga, they reject the misconception of the Gauranga Nagari, where they are trying to impose the position of an enjoyer upon Mahaprabhu and this Gaur Gadadhar conception, that Gauranga is Krishna and Gadadhar is Radharani, and implies some sort of amorous pastimes, but it is not acceptable to our Guru Varga in the line. Guru Maharaj says that we may find in Chaitanya Mangal some thing where it says that some of the ladies in Navadvip, seeing the beauty of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, they expressed amorous sentiments toward him. He says, but he never reciprocated that. And Guru Maharaj is given the comparison. When husband and wife are worshiping the deity, there's no intimations between them. So when they are in this distribution mode, clearly we understand from Srila Gadadhar Goswami and all the other authentic personalities, Radha Bhava Duti Subalita. Krishna is enveloped in the heart and halo of Radharani. That is what he is tasting. From Bhakta Bhav to Radha Bhav. These are the, as Gurudev would tell, what is the subject matter of his tasting. Right? So to try and cast him in some other role is an offensive misconception being imposed upon him. And what are the two focal points of Mahaprabhu's pastimes? The Rath Yatra and in private, the Gangbira with Srup Damodar and Ramananda, where behind closed doors, 24 hours a day, plunging the depths of Radha Bhav and Viraha Bhav, in separation from Krishna. So the emphasis in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu is not upon enjoyment, but rather on separation. And the Rath Yatra, where after 100 years of unbearable separation, Radharani and Braja Gopis come to claim Krishna, Dwarka Krishna, and pull him back to Vrindavan by their heart strings, really. So Gadadhar Pandit, he wants to always be with Mahaprabhu. Guru Maharaj will say sometimes, like, if someone was robbed of their wealth and they're holding an empty bag, and there's the person who has only, you're holding that, trying, always running after them, trying to regain your wealth. He said it's something like that. And Mahaprabhu instructed Gadadhar Pandit to take Ketra Sannyas, which means to take a vow to always and only reside in a particular holy place, here it being Puri. And there Gadadhar Pandit will worship Gopinath, deity, what's known as Tota Gopinath. In this particular garden, we had the opportunity, I think some of the devotees here, to go there a couple years back after the Navadvitam Parikrama, see Tota Gopinath. The deity's been described. It's so beautiful that even an atheist's heart would melt to see the deity. And we know also Radharani is the best cook in Vrindavan. So in Gaur, she has that benediction from Durvasa Muni that whatever she will cook will taste as sweet as nectar. And this is a ploy to allow Yashoda to engage Radharani in cooking for Krishna and Nanda and Balaram and the cowherd boys. But sometimes Nityananda Prabhu is visiting, and he will bring, like we're told, we say supreme, when they put on things in it, supreme quality. I think this rice brought by Nityananda Prabhu is probably safe to say it's supreme quality. He gives that to Gadadhar Pandit, and they're collecting other things there. And Nityananda Prabhu will be very happy. Balaram to get prasad from Radharani, Nityananda to eat from Gadadhar Pandit will be very happy. It's cooked, brought by Nityananda Prabhu, cooked by Gadadhar Pandit, offered to Gopinath, so that this sort of thing is going on in Puri it cannot be without the now internal awareness of Mahaprabhu. He will be drawn by that automatically. Like when the devotees, if they're nicely in Krishna consciousness and doing their seva and everything, then some higher power will be drawn toward them. Guru, Vaishnav, Radha Govinda, it's possible. So Mahaprabhu comes and says, whatever Nityananda owns, I'm like a shareholder. And whatever belongs to Nityananda, I've got a lien in that. So that's one right I'm asserting here, that what you have is brought by Nityananda. Then on top of it all, being cooked by Gadadhar, I have some right to that. And what's been offered to Gopinath, because in another context, I am Gopinath. So this makes Gadadhar Pandit very happy, that, because being told by Mahaprabhu, you cannot go everywhere I go and accompany me. You'll have to stay in Puri. We're told by Kaviraj Goswami, these are heartbreaking pastimes that we can't imagine. The sort of love in their hearts possess toward one another. But really, it's to allow for the distribution of that divine sweetness that they've adopted these merciful positions. So when we're praising the infinite worlds and we give them the fullest praise, we can also say that for the Gadadhar Pandit's sacrifice, we would have nothing. Or the inverse, everything we have is a result of the sacrifice of Gadadhar Pandit. It was Krishna's being irresistibly drawn toward that heart region that caused his descent as Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu also told Srinivasacharya, learn the Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. I think, what does that mean? There are so many great devotees in Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So they're great pundits and scholars. Why does Mahaprabhu say to Srinivasacharya, learn the Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit? And as inconceivable as it sounds, we're told Gadadhar Pandit would, when he's not worshipping his deity, Gopinath, he's giving the Bhagavatam class. So the devotees, Mahaprabhu and others, Haridas Thakur, the great, they come and they hear Gadadhar Pandit is explaining Srimad Bhagavatam. What sort of classes were those? We can't understand in a million years. But Guru Maharaj has some insight there, because we know Bhaktivinoda Thakur has one book called the Bhagavat Arka Marichi Mala. This is a very interesting title. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam, we learn early on in the introductory section. The slogan says, Krishne Swadamo Bhagate Dharma Jnana Dibiksaha Kalo Nashtra Drishamesha Puranarko Dunoditaha. I think, and we just heard Krishna's left the world, that moving section where Yudhisthira Maharaj is wondering, what's wrong with you, Arjun? Arjun, that mighty great warrior Arjun, he's now a shell of his former self. Yudhisthira Maharaj is very perplexed to see him. What is it? What's wrong? And he mentions all possible causes for his despondency, concluding, and this you don't have to answer. Or is it that Krishna's left the world and now we're all nothing? And that's the actual answer. But then the Bhagavatam, what did it say? But after Krishna's gone to his abode, he's withdrawn his divine pastimes and paraphernalia from this world. The Srimad Bhagavatam, and the whole world's been plunged in Kalo Nashta Rishamesha. It's been plunged into the darkness of the Kali Yuga. Things are looking really bad and scary and horrifying. Now the world is plunged into the darkness of the Kali Yuga. Krishna has gone to his own abode. What are we to do now? And then it said, rising like the sun, this Bhagavat Purana appears. And if we take it that the slokas are like sun rays, like 18,000 sun-rayed sun of Bhagavatam appears, it's giving illumination. So Krishna's come in the form of the Bhagavatam. So rejoice. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we know, who've gone through the Bhagavatam, 18,000 slokas. We cannot understand how to approach the Bhagavatam so much. So we have the commentaries of the great acharyas to help us to understand this is significant. That's why devotees want to know something. Which slokas? The ones we've heard. Primarily what we've heard from our Guru Varga. Or what does Mahaprabhu teach to Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, these things. There's a way to discern and identify what is, of extra significance. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's always relishing Srimad Bhagavatam. He says once when he is very deeply lost in the meaning of the Bhagavatam, that Swarup Damodar, Mahaprabhu's others, Ditiya Kalevar, appears to him and gives a suggestion to him that he will select certain slokas from the Bhagavatam, make a unique compilation. And he gives him unique interpretations of the first 3 slokas of the Bhagavatam. Janmadyasya yataha dharma prochita kaitavotra nigama kalpator galitampalam, in terms of sambandha abideya prayojan. And then says, now this is my order to you, collect 1,000 of those 18,000 sloka rays of the Bhagavatam, select 1,000. He gave some mystical guidelines. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur does that in the Bhagavat Arka, like Purana Arka, Bhagavat Arka Marichimala. And it's like a brilliantly illuminating garland. Divine rays, sloka rays. So Srila Guru Maharaj, he got the inspiration to do few hundred, from 1,000 to a few hundred select slokas. But he was unable to take up that work and complete it. But he did write some introductory slokas, one for Vedavyas and perhaps Sukadev. But there he has what we've come to know as Gadadhar Pranam. Because Srinivasacharya was told by Mahaprabhu, learn the Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. But when he approached Gadadhar Pandit consented to teach him. He said, but the slokas I want to teach you, my tears have washed them from the pages of the Bhagavatam. So I need a new Bhagavatam. So Srinivasacharya was sent to Navadvip, where all the Pandits and scribes are. Takes them, a couple months to make a new Bhagavatam. And we hear upon his return, Gadadhar Pandit has left the world. So what is Krishna consciousness and Guru and the order of Guru and heartbreak? Gadadhar Pandit is going to teach you the Bhagavatam, has consented to teach you the Bhagavatam. Upon your return, he's left the world. How can someone adjust with that, digest that type of thing? How the heart will be what's the word for pressure, that type of pressure, like that. Yeah, but there's another word that's more intense. Supreme grace under pressure. And Guru says, what will the heart yield when it's pressed to the extreme, which is realized always through separation. So Srila Guru Maharaj, remember this is his, in the introductory sloka section to his compilation of these slokas he's going to select that are of unique importance. So we can say this, that through the sloka there's an indication of the direction, ontologically speaking and conceptually speaking, of what is recorded there. And it says, Nilam bodhi tate sadasva viraha kepan vitam bandhavam Srimad Bhagavati Katha Madiraya Sanjivayan Bhatya Srimad Bhagavatam Swanayanasru Pujayam Swanayanasru Goswami Prabharo Gadadhara Vibhur Bhuyat Madeka Gati. Saying, what I'm presenting here, let it be an offering to the best of the Goswamis, Gadadhar Pandit. And here, Guru Maharaj beautifully condenses their relationship, Gadai Gauranga, Gadadhar Pandit, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Nilam Bodhi Tata. On the banks of the blue ocean, sometimes Puri is called Nilachala. That means like blue mountain, but blue ocean. Nila, this like Nila money, Nila meaning this divine blue color. Nilam Bodhi Tate Swadasva Viraha Kepan Vitam Bandhavam. On the shore of that broad blue ocean, there is Krishna and as Mahaprabhu, and what is he doing? Swaviraha. He's feeling separation from himself. The supreme positive in the mood of the supreme negative is feeling separation from himself in the company of his friend, his best friend. Means Gadadhar Pandit. Means on that shore in Puri, there's Mahaprabhu feeling the most intense separation. Means Radha Baba of Radharani for Krishna. He's experiencing that, which is the wealth of Gadadhar Pandit, Radharani's other self in Gaur Leela. So the 10th stage of separation is death. Gadadhar Pandit can see as the separation is deepening and increasing and intensifying, that Mahaprabhu is approaching a death-like condition. There's a Srimad Bhagavatam Katha Madiraya Sanjivayan Bhatya. So Gadadhar Pandit's taking slokas from the Bhagavatam and supplying them like intoxicants. It's having an intoxicating effect that's bringing that person back to life. Guru Maharaj says, like if you have a dear friend and they lost their beloved, their heart is breaking, they've become suicidal, they're losing their life, and then the friend's offering some intoxication to assuage the anguish of their heart and bringing them back to life in the process. But what is this intoxication being supplied here? Bhagavatam slokas. Because Gadadhar Pandit knows this is terra incognito for Mahaprabhu. The two who know best means Lalita Vishaka, Lalita Saki and Radharani. So here, Gadadhar Pandit knows what Mahaprabhu is experiencing. and also knows what will augment a particular sentiment or bring relief. So he's selecting these slokas from the Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavati Kata Madhuraya Sanjeevayan Bhattiya Srimad Bhagavatam Kata Swanayana Supayanai Pujayam. And saying, and as Gadadhar Pandit is singing these slokas, tears are streaming from his eyes, and they're like lotus tear offerings onto the pages of the Bhagavatam, and they're washing away those slokas. So they're like flower. We're told you should offer flowers to the Bhagavatam, and recognizing its spiritually conscious substance, and offer yourself as an instrument for revelation and seva. So, but it's Gadadhar Pandit's tears that are pouring onto the pages of the Bhagavatam as offerings and washing away those slokas. So, when Gurudev was asked in Petersburg about Gaur Gadadhar worship, because it's the indicated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said this is the private chamber of bhajan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Not that we'll suddenly imitate that. We know there's this song, Sri Godruma Chandra Bhajanopadesha. It's like a very beautiful song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Ends, the last sloka is about remembering the pastimes of Gaur Gadadhar and their worship. It's very beautiful, but very private and very rare. And so we can understand if these slokas were going to be the subject matter of Gadadhar Pandit's teaching to Srinivasacharya. Mysteriously, upon his arrival, Gadadhar Pandit is left. His tears have washed those slokas from the pages of the Bhagavatam. Guru Maharaj also could not finish his work. That it's something very high, confidential, and wonderful, and beyond our capacity. But just knowing that such a plane does exist is wonderful enough. And what is expressed in Guru Maharaj's sloka is beyond wonderful. So that Gadadhar Pandit is so, the devotion in his heart so compelling, that we've seen that Tota Gopinath deity is a tall deity. So as Gadadhar Pandit aged, have to put the garland and is becoming difficult. Krishna, the deity, is, when you'll see, is sitting cross-legged. So he's now about this tall. So Gadadhar Pandit could put the garland on the deity. And the pujaris, they show, if you go very early, they have some time where they pull the cloth and show some gold mark. And it's not just like a pujari story, but Guru Maharaj says, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is of the opinion. There are many ways it's described how Mahaprabhu withdrew from this plane. Remember, prakat, aprakat, like the sun. There's apparently sunrise, noon, and then a sunset. But actually, the sun has its more or less eternal position. So there's an appearance, Leela, and then withdrawing from this world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is of the opinion Mahaprabhu entered the Tota Gopinath deity. And if we think of the sort of love and affection, Gora Premamoy Tanu Pandit Gadadhar, that becomes understandable and worshipable. Hare Krishna. Sri Gadadhar Pandit Avirbhav Mahamahotsava Titi Ki Jai.